Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis and welcome back to the office. The printers are on standby, so hopefully you guys can hear me. We are using the new mic and yeah, so if there's any kind of echo or if there's anything that is kind of wonky sound wise, let me know. I'll try to fix it for the next video or try to fix it in production in Camtasia. So either way, let me know with that. Now moving on here, so today we are going to be talking about what I'm doing differently with my reef tank in 2024, and it's been a couple months, so I've been able to see some of the changes not only with my maintenance schedule but also within the reef tank. So I want to talk about what I've done and will continue to do at least until further notice. Now first things first, one of the main things that was the issue when it came to the reef tank was the sheer amount of money to keep this thing going. Now, of course, I'm selling frags, I'm making money from the reef tank, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but not everybody's doing that. Not everybody can afford to drop, you know, $100 in supplements, you know, every month or every other month for their reef tank. They just can't. It's not something somebody wants to do on top of buying frags, paying for electric, paying for salt, paying for fish, all the things that have slowly increased over the last several years. And you know, a lot of people are leaving the hobby because it just costs too much to run a reef tank, and especially when you're getting above that 100-gallon mark. Now we had the 300-gallon, well, 300 and I guess we could say 400 if you want to count the low boys, but yeah, they don't really count. So 300 gallons is still a lot of water and a lot of maintenance and a lot of things that need to be taken care of, and it gets expensive. So my new approach is not only going to cut that expense down significantly, but it's also going to cut down on the amount of maintenance and the things that I have to do. And when I do my maintenance, it's going to simplify it and hopefully work out in the long run. So first things first here, when it came to salt, as you guys know, I've been using Fritz Blue Box since I started the 300-gallon. I think we're going on, what, 7 years, 6-7 years now. It's worked great. We grew out the reef tank. I mean, we started off with little bitty frags. We grew out that reef tank to the video that you guys see in the live stream in under 2 years. I mean, it grew great, right? The supplementing, all the stuff that I was doing, which we'll talk about here in a minute, plus the Fritz salt, I mean, it grew out the tank great. And of course, Big Bertha came through, wiped out all the colonies, and then we had to overhaul it. And then I overhauled it again just because I wanted to put coral in a different spot. So, and then we got rid of Big Bertha because she was wrecking the tank again. There's been a lot of things, but either way, it's been about 7 months and the tank is kind of just on autopilot doing its own thing, and it's working out pretty well. So with that, I stopped using Fritz only because the price is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I think it's like 80 some odd dollars a box right now. 3 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, I was getting that stuff from a guy locally for $35 a box. $35 a box. I'd buy like 5 or 6 boxes at a time, be good for several months. Not anymore. It's like 80 some odd dollars. If you're with shipping, maybe close to $90. I haven't checked it in a couple months, so it might even be higher than that. Either way, that's a lot of money for salt, no matter how you shake it. Even if I'm doing you know, a 50-gallon water change once a month, it's still a lot of money for salt. This stuff adds up. And of course, with shipping coral, I have to replace that water with salt water. I can't just top it off with RO water because it's gonna mess up the salinity eventually, right? So it's constantly making salt water, and it just going through a box of salt a month pretty much, and it just gets expensive. It's $100 that I don't want to spend on salt. So with that, I've moved back to what I originally started using when I got into the hobby, and that's the Instant Ocean. I think I can get it at my local fish store for under $50 or close to $50 a box, and it works. I haven't done an ICP test yet to kind of see where the elements are evening out or leveling out with the water, because I just haven't done enough water changes in the reef tank to really justify an ICP test yet. But either way, it's working out. I'm buying double the amount of salt almost, and even with the increased water changes on a weekly basis, I'm still spending less money overall, and I'm happy about it. So went back to Instant Ocean, and I'm gonna stay with it until further notice. Now, of course, a lot of people are like, you might get a bad batch with Instant Ocean, the quality isn't that great, yada yada yada. But that's why we when you get a new box of salt, when you make your very first batch of salt water, you always test it. You just do. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but it takes extra 5 minutes, 1 extra pack of reagent when it comes to nitrates, phosphates, alkalinity, depending on how you're testing it. And you know, just testing those major elements gives you a pretty good baseline of where your salt is going to be at. Now, of course, we're not going to do an ICP test on every box of salt. I mean, if you got that money, go ahead and do what you got to do. But I personally am not going to do an ICP test on a box of salt every single time. So with that, every time I get a new box, I just test the major elements, and as long as they come back fine, I go about my business. Now, if I ever got like say I was getting really high magnesium for whatever reason, I might open up a secondary box of salt and just mix all that stuff together. Just mix both bags together and kind of see where it evens out later on. So I've done that before, and it's never been an issue. So with that, Instant Ocean is the way I'm going to go. I'm happy with it, and until further notice, I'll let you guys know. It is what I'm going to keep using. Now, moving on to supplements. As you guys know, I was dosing Aquavitra Fuel. I was using Reef Plus for a while there. Moved on to the Fuel because it had the amino acids or the fatty acids or whatever in there. I moved on to that. Had great growth with the Reef tank. And the only issue is I was getting some elevated, some of you are going to get on me with this, I can't say it right, molybdenum, whatever it is. I'm sure somebody in the comment section is going to go ahead and type it out perfectly. Appreciate you, by the way. And I kept getting increased levels, and it's at the point now that even with dosing the minimal amount of it, that is still going up. It's still going up consistently, and the only way it's ever going to go away is if I stop dosing it altogether. It's not like I can isolate that out of my dosing regimen. It's just part of the Aquavitra Fuel. It's even in the Reef Plus. So not dosing altogether not only saves me about $50 a month in supplements, but it also allows that to come back down, because per my last ICP test, it was really elevated, and it's got to come down. It's just got to come down. So not dosing it, not introducing it to the tank in any way, it's eventually going to come down, and then we can adjust fire later on if I want to start dosing aminos or anything, or Reef Plus or even Aquavitra Fuel again. We'll see how it goes. So with that, no more Aquavitra Fuel, no more supplement dosing other than Acro Power. I'm still doing my normal Acro Power dosing. It's 200 milliliters once a week. That's what I'm doing with that. And I got rid of the potassium. I got rid of the flora, which I was kind of making up for my last ICP test. Got rid of the iodine. Got rid of course, the fuel and all the things associated with Aquavitra Fuel. Did I say potassium already? Yeah. So there was a couple other on there. They're downstairs. I basically just stopped all my supplement dosing. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to kind of see where the tank would level out with just simply feeding the fish food that I make on a monthly basis, just doing water changes with the Instant Ocean, and just doing the Acro Power, because that's not really a supplement that adds to the tank. It's more or less just kind of food for the corals, and they seem to be pretty happy about it. So with that, that is basically my dosing regimen. I have removed 99% of the things I was dosing, which has saved me probably $100 a month minimum. And on top of the salts, you're looking at like a $200 a month savings just from not dosing those things. And it's been a couple months, and I can tell you right now, there's no negative difference or anything with growth. Calcium or alkalinity consumption has not changed. Polyp extension has not changed, and there hasn't been any ill effects of the reef tank. Nothing. So not only am I saving $200 a month, but my reef tank is still growing the way it was. It's still progressing as it was when I was dosing that stuff. Now, granted, I haven't done an ICP test yet, and I will probably do one in the next couple months, just giving the reef tank time to adjust to the entire regimen. And then basically when I do that ICP test, I will see kind of where the tank is kind of lacking in elements. So hypothetically, let's say we do the ICP test and it comes back that iodine is just low, or my potassium is just low. Well, I will dose according to what that ICP test recommends. I'd use the ATI, so not only are they doing my RO water, but they're also doing, of course, the reef tank, and then they give you recommendations on what you can dose to fix that. So if something comes back that's a little off, then I will dose that. And with me doing an ICP test every 3 to 5 months, nothing bad's gonna happen in 3 to 5 months with just doing the water changes, unless there's some rogue box of salt that just kind of goes crazy and ruins my reef tank, which is a risk with any kind of salt, honestly. So with that, the ICP test every 3 to 6 months, 3 to 5 months, 4 to 5 months, whatever it might be, I will be able to catch those elements before they either bottom out or get too high. I'll be able to catch those things and adjust fire and fix them as we go. So that's kind of my approach. We're going to do our new water change schedule, which I'll talk about here in a second. So we'll have our water changes, and we'll cut back our supplements to just Acro Power and my normal feeding. and just see where it goes. Now, one thing I'm considering adding, and I haven't decided yet, is my Eco Balance, which is a beneficial bacteria, because the beneficial bacteria really just helps the tank. It doesn't, helps with processing nitrates and phosphates, and just kind of balances out and adds beneficial bacteria to help the fish and health and all that stuff. Really doesn't add anything to the coral or the supplement line or anything like that. So I might consider adding that back into my regimen because it really isn't that expensive. But yeah, so other than that, so we have our water change, AquaPower, possibly Eco Balance, and that's it. And right now it's been 2 months and it's working out pretty good. So moving on to I guess the final thing here, my water change schedule. Again, it used to be every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe once a month depending on my schedule. I do it on a Sunday, between 30 to 50 gallons. What I've changed is now I'm doing 25 gallons every single Sunday. I just make the water on Friday, give the salt a couple days to kind of mix in and kind of get the temperature, and then I just do a 25-gallon water change. If I need to clean the sump, I'll clean the sump, the refugium, or maybe the low boys, maybe the main display, whatever it might be. I just do the water change and I dump it in. That's it. Get rid of the water, add 25 gallons, simple as that. And again, we are testing every new box of salt for major elements just to make sure they're kind of where I want them to be. Now, with that, cleaning the tank, filter socks, all that kind of stuff is the same. I only use filter socks around water changes, so I will mix up the detritus in the tank, with siphoning and all that kind of stuff, mix up the sump, and I'll put filter socks in for about 24 to 48 hours, pull them out, put my silencers back in there, the 3D printed silencers, and then that's it. Until the next water change. And so I'm cutting down on how many filter socks I'm using, of course, which is always great. The tank doesn't look any different clarity wise, so I'm fine with that. And again, just cleaning the sump, the main display, the low boys as needed during those 25-gallon water changes, and not going past it, not going under it, just staying that way. And again, it's been 2 months. It's worked out pretty good. Again, growth, coloration, polyp extensions, all been pretty well and done pretty well, so I'm happy with it. And I don't know, I part of me is kind of like, well, this is your business or part of your business. You're trying to make money selling coral. You want them to grow as fast as possible. You want the coloration to be absolutely perfect. That's great. And again, this is just something that I'm trying over the next several months to see how it does. If we're like 6 months in, 8 months in, and I'm finding that the coloration just isn't that great on some of my major sellers, right? Like the pearlberry or like the green slime or something like that, or even on like a red Monty cap, like say the coloration just isn't what I want it to be and everything seems to be fine, the ICP test is showing the elements aren't exactly where they need to be, then maybe I'll consider bringing a couple things back depending on whatever the issue might be. So that's kind of my approach. Very simple water changes, very basic feeding, homemade fish food. If you guys are wondering kind of about that, I do have some videos on homemade fish food. You can just search like Fishofhex homemade fish food, or I'll try to put something in the description for you to see. But really easy stuff, and like I said, simplifying things. I think I mentioned this before. If you make things simple, you have a better chance of getting them done, or at least doing them, or at least getting them started. If something's super complex, you're probably not going to do it. So with anything, being consistent with your maintenance is key to success with a reef tank. So you just kind of have to do it, right? So with that, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Any questions or any suggestions, or maybe you're doing the same thing, let me know in the comment section. If you want to support the channel, head over to fishofhex.com. We are doing 30% off on all 3D printing until February 1st of 2024. And just use the code 30% off at checkout and you'll get that. All right, so with that, I'll see you guys later. Peace.